Welcome. This is week 10 of macro. So you are now getting to the end, right? This is the last week where you would cover new chapters. There's also next week, but next week is basically you have to enter some information about the course. There's a little, it's not a quiz, but something comments that you can enter about the course and what you found interesting and so on. But this week we covered two chapters, and now I'll show you what to do. This week you have also to complete the final exam, which is due Sunday, so in a week. Okay. And so what you really need to do is to pay attention to that because it's very important, and it's a bit different than the other assignments you've been doing till now. Till now, I've done mostly online stuff and some discussion boards. This is a bit more of a research, so it's a bit more intricate. So I suggest you start early after you've done the chapters because it really relates to the last two chapters that we cover this week. So when you go here to coursework again, you will see that you have again, the same thing, like all the weeks. This is week 10. Come with week 10. And then that's the last stuff to do is chapter 16 and 17, and then the assignments and the final exam. Final exam, remember, is due Sunday, June 16th. Okay, this has to be graded by me, and so I need a little bit of time to do that. Okay, so this week we do open economy. And open economy, it means trade with other countries, and it also means exchange rates. Okay, so what happens when we open the economy? Now, these two chapters really relate to the questions of the final. And again, the final is university, college-wide assignments decided by a committee. So it's not mine. So you know, it's what it is, I guess. That's what it is. And so assignment and projects also I'll do Thursday 13th. I believe there's a couple of extra days you can do, but what you want to do is to finish everything as quickly as possible. Okay, so actually I'll change that because it's not true. Okay, so the two chapters are international trade and trade policy, which is very good, very interesting stuff. You already did that with the competitive advantage. This one goes a bit deeper, so it really looks at what happens when you put tariffs on different goods from importing country, when you're an exporting country, what the consequences are for the domestic market. And the other one is exchange rates, right? The way we trade with other countries is basically you sell something to another country, they send you money, but obviously you have different currencies, so you have to have a way to exchange those currencies. And countries have reserves of foreign currencies for purchasing, and there's all these aspects of supply demand that apply to exchange rates because basically money it's a good, right? It's something used to purchase something. So foreign currency has a price on your currency, and this price will vary depending on the supply and demand of the currency, right? So if a country keeps importing from a country, they will need that currency because people will say in China they want to be paid in yen in their currency because they want to spend it at home. And so what happens is you need more of that, right? Or foreigners that want to buy American goods, they have to buy dollars to pay for the goods that they buy from the United States. And so there is a market for that. And it's a very big market. A lot of people trade on that. And if you guys are a finance major, you might end up working on that. But it's also very important because the price of your imports might vary not only based on what the cost of production is in some countries, but also might vary based also on the exchange rate, right? Only the exchange rate might change, not their prices, and so it will have effect on how much you end up paying the product. Okay, so that's what you need to do. And again, I want to reiterate the importance of when you go to coursework here. Let's go again to coursework and to week 10. When you go to assignments and projects, the important one is this here, the final exam, because it's a lot of points, but besides that, it's writing and it's a bit of research. And so I showed you last week. You can watch the video from last week, but I can show this to you again. But the last week video, I went over it a bit more in detail on what you have to do. But the question is exactly about foreign trade. And the question is, what are the consequences of putting a Let's read it together so you can see. An issue of ongoing importance in the study of macroeconomics is the impact of protectionism. Protectionism, remember, is protecting your domestic industries from competition from abroad, right? Not only on individual countries' macroeconomy, but also the effects are on the global economy and ethics. And I already discussed some in the last week. Using material discussed in course lectures, readings, and your general knowledge. So basically the stuff of this week and the stuff at the beginning on competitive advantage. Identify and analyze the major protectionist tactics in the United States. So the major ones are basically tariffs, right? So if you want to prevent something from being too competitive in the domestic market, you put a tariff on it. The other one, you can give subsidies to your country's production, and so you can make it artificially cheaper. There are all these ways to do. You can put quotas on imports. You read about that, and then you discuss briefly what they are. And then you want to explain the inefficiencies of the protectionist tactics, right? So you use the competitive advantage theory, and you say, well, given that the consequence will be that if you put a tariff on foreign goods will now be more expensive, so consumers are going to pay more. But what are the benefits, I guess, is protecting the domestic producers. And you want to find these two aspects of it. And evaluate the cultural and or ethical consequences. So cultural, it's very important. Sometimes there are culturally there are some movements that want, for example, to restrict the, or not really restrict, but make it kind of unethical to buy foreign goods. Like some people say, I will not buy anything made in China. Well, that's very hard to do. But they say, I won't buy anything made in China. And so in a way, you are hindering, even if you're going to pay more for the domestic product, you are affecting here international trade, right? And ethical, I discussed also last week, but I'll say a little bit. Say, for example, of putting a subsidy on agricultural product in the US or in Europe, like they do, then makes it more difficult for farmers in developing countries to sell the product in the US or Europe, and then even if they're cheaper, and then you kind of hinder their development. So there are all kind of things you can discuss, but you want to find a few articles that you want to cite for that, and you can show some graphs of the number of tariffs that there are and how they affected import and exports. But that's basically what you want to do. Do maximum 2 pages, not too long, but to the point, right? You want to address the topic, you want to use your sources, and you want to make your case, whatever your case is. But remember, we are economists. That means we want quantitative and we want data to support whatever we say. If you make a statement, it has to be supported by something that proves that what you're saying is true. Okay, so that's it. That's the last week. And then after that, next week, you have just this little survey that you want to do about the class. And again, if you have any questions, send me emails. If you're working on the final and you don't know exactly what to do, you're halfway through, you want to show it to me, send me an email, and I'll be happy. We can do a little Zoom or whatever, an online meeting, and we can discuss that. Okay, so thank you very much, and I think I'll post something briefly Monday to discuss the last week. Alrighty, okay, thank you very much, and I will see you soon again. Let me know if you have any questions. Goodbye.